Ulrich Brueckner. He's a professor of European Studies at Stanford University in Berlin. Professor, always good to speak to you. So let's just start with those EU sanctions that were announced on Thursday. But one of the other issues that they were discussing was using those frozen Russian assets to help Kyiv's war efforts. But that wasn't passed. Why are those assets in particular seemingly a contentious issue for some EU members?
Well, it is a typical example of what is good in general, like all the European Union member states agree on, is not necessarily the same for each and every member state. And the frozen assets technically are located in Belgium. So Belgium fears that there might be a liability problem if the complex construction of trying to square the circle, like not confiscating the Russian assets, but building something like an alternative that is backed by taxpayers' money from the European Union. If this comes with so many ifs, then in the very end, it's Belgium that pays the price for something that is a general interest of the European Union, but not, as I said, the same for each and every member state. So it was a poorly prepared summit when it comes to this. We have seen much better performances of the European Council, but in this case, we just keep searching for a better construction than the one that didn't find a majority.
Okay, so self-preservation in some sense there. Could that be said the same thing for Hungary, who now says they'll find a bit of a workaround for these new US sanctions on Russian oil companies?
Well, this is a very ambitious statement that Viktor Orban presents himself as a strong man who can act as one of the other strong men in geopolitics. I don't expect much of a consequence from this statement. This is more targeted towards the domestic discussion about preparing for elections, that people believe that he is as strong as he wants to appear, but it doesn't have a big impact.
And Professor, just finally, we've got today's meeting of the Coalition of the Willing in London. What do you expect to come from that?
Well, this is exactly the consequence of what we have seen yesterday in the European Council. If you poorly prepare a summit like this, and then you end up with a cacophonic orchestra in which each and every government insists on, but this is too difficult for me, then you better build coalition of the willing meetings that smoothly prepare a common position, and then you appear better than the ones yesterday.
Okay, thank you very much, as always, for your analysis, Professor Ulrich Brueckner there in Berlin for us.
Thanks for having me.